What's going on, guys? Alright, so welcome to part 2 on the Pi dash. Like I said before on the first video, the Pi dash is going to go in where the stock cluster is. Not sure what I need to modify yet. We need to pull this out and kind of look at our mounting points and all. Kind of see how the Pi will actually fit, because I want to stick it right here in the center, kind of where the steering column is. That's my whole idea. I want to take everything out and we'll make sure, like I said, we'll make our mounting points. We will have to do some modifications to the alternator, because on these Foxes, I'm sure every car is that way, but the alternator relies on the dash, stock dash, to turn on the alternator when you start the car. You take the dash out, you don't do, you take the dash out and all, you start the car, your alternator's not going to charge. So I have a new relay coming to swap out this one. Turns into a 3-wire to a 2-wire. Pretty much, I forgot what they call it. I'll leave it down below. Pretty much, if you start the car, alternator automatically starts charging. We'll have them rely on the dash. So we got that coming. I have a switch coming so we can safely boot and shut down the Pi with the key. But I think the hardest task is going to be is getting it to work in this dash. Pi-dash.com do sell a dash for these cars. It's a 3D print, but it's like $150. Then you got another, I think it's another $15 of shipping on top of it. So I'm gonna see what I can do with what I have. I've already picked up a sheet of ABS board, same color as the dash and all, same texture and everything. But we'll see how that works out. See if we can make that work. If not, we'll have to go with a different idea. So first we need to take the bolts out. You got 2 up here, and I believe you got 2 on the bottom. I know for sure you got 2 on the bottom, but I believe that's it. I think there's only the 4 bolts, and it should just come right out. I recommend like a little screwdriver. If you have a little screwdriver, a little stubby, maybe a stubby, it's kind of hard to get there. So I don't know where my little stubby screwdriver is, so kind of rigged up something for today, just a little bit, and a wrench here, 1/4 inch wrench, a little bit of tape so the wrench doesn't slide down. So just gonna knock those loose and we'll get the other 2 off on the bottom, and this whole thing, the whole cluster should come out. Alright, so got me a piece of cardboard and I kind of just traced it out here. Kind of just let it sit in here. It's a little tight. So something like this, what I'm gonna do. I think it's pretty good. The section here I cut out. Only reason why is the screen hangs down a little bit. But I think it'll be okay. I think it's going to clear the steering column just fine. But I'm just going to make it go flat across and just take out what I need for the steering column. Because the screen comes down just a little bit below this mark, below this round spot right here. Just a little bit. Kind of having the screen as high as I can, hitting the top. Got to have a little cutout for the Pi board and all. I'm going to have the screen just bolt in. So my little trace out here, and I got me some ABS here. Just gonna stick my piece of cardboard here and just pretty much just trace it out. And I really don't have anything but a Dremel. If I use my Dremel, just cut it out. It's like a textured board. It's kind of like this. It's textured, so it should fit real nice. Look almost stock style. All right, guys. So been working on a little bit here. Give you a little update what's going on. Last time y'all saw, I had the cardboard cut out. Now I traced it. Got my little piece of ABS in here. It's not, you know, pretty, but so far it's working. So I cut a hole out because the pie is going to come out a little bit. Probably made it a little too big. You can see my holes are really close. Well, you can see that one's like, I had to put a piece in, but had to make some little extra drilling so I can have the pie centered with the steering column. It was off just a little bit, so I had to move it over and put it down a little bit because it was hitting the top. But I mean, when you put the pie in, you're not gonna see any of these holes. It's gonna look clean from the outside. But I'm probably just gonna put some glue in, cover some of these holes I ain't using. And this piece here, I used some JB weld, and weld that in just so we have a mounting point. Right now I got it tacked in with some JB weld, or plastic weld you want to call it, just hold in place. Got where I want it. For some extra strength, some security, I'm gonna put some bracing in the back. I'm just gonna rivet it in, and I don't have to worry about popping out or anything while I'm driving. And all in there, once we get done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and repaint it. This black ABS is a little different shade of black than the cluster here, so I picked up some paint. Gonna paint all one color. So just gonna draw out these spots for these L brackets here, as you can see, and we'll rivet it in. And I'll probably come back and put some weld here in these excess holes, kind of give it a little more strength. So yeah, it's getting there. And once we get that done, I'll put it in the car. All right, so got the rivets in. Got my little Dremel, kind of just grind them down so they're nice and flat and soft. Yeah, I'm probably thinking that this looks rough, but once we get the screen on, only thing you're really gonna be seeing is these two rivets, and obviously the glue. I'm gonna put a cross here just to fill in the gap. Gonna use like a hot glue gun there. And once we're done with that, I plan on just painting it. So only thing really visible will be like the two rivets, which to be black. You're not gonna see this part here because the steering column cover will go on. It'll cover all this up. The pie will cover all this up. So I mean, it looks rough as it is right now. And you turn around, you can see I got everything in place. It ain't going nowhere. Yeah, just let my little hot glue gun there warm up, and we'll put some hot glue on it. Just fill in. Got a little bit of crack here. You can see. Just fill all the holes in, and we'll throw a couple coats of paint on it, and we'll see what she looks like. Alright guys, so got the dash console pretty much done. Went around with some glue just to fill up the little cracks here. Got the pie in. Threw a couple coats of paint on it to make it all one color. And it's ready to throw in the car. See here on the back side here, use some L brackets here, riveted in. You can see these two here. You can't see, but you can see these on the other side. I'm gonna go ahead and yank these wires off. What I'm gonna do is run a USB to the monitor or screen board and run a wire here. So a micro and a Type-C USB here. I'll show you what I got, how we're going to tie all this in for power into the car. But yeah, everything fits in my little rig here pretty well. The only reason why I'm not using these, I was originally going to, but the pins are on the back side here. I had no access to them, so I'm just going to take them off. We'll need access to these, as we need to plug in the power board into it to tell it when there's power on and off. We can still get to our USB, Ethernet. We're not going to be using Ethernet, but we've got the 4 ports of USB. We're going to need those. And our 2 powers, we can get to those just fine. And to tie it down, I use some jumpers you use like on motherboards. You can't really see them, but they're like goldish color, just so the Pi is not actually laying up on the ABS here. And I use some of these big screws here I had laying around and screwed it down. Seems to be alright. I mean, I could go down and actually buy a 3D print dash, or maybe a Florida 5.0 dash and just cut out myself, but those run over $100. I know the 3D print was $150, and then you got in there $15-20 of shipping on top of it. But this is what I already had, and kind of just an ABS here. I spent $10 on that on Amazon and just cut it out, and I still got some left. And I just glued on the back. See, I can glue the back side here. See how well that holds up. Oh, but to the front side, it ain't too bad. It is a new regulator. If you have a 3G alternator in the car, you're going to need one of these, unless you want to do some cutting in your wiring. But this is just simple to do. It's just a 2-wire. Take the old regulator off, put the new one on, back to the alternator. This one goes where your power wire is, and this one goes, just clips in to your alternator. So that red wire will go on the back side here, your main post, your charging port, and the white wire will plug into here. And that'd be it. You actually won't be using this plug. This plug will just, I can just tuck it away or whatever, and the new wire will just plug in right into the alternator. Pretty much, we turn the key on, it automatically starts charging. All right, so right now working on wiring. Decided to run the wiring off the radio since it's a 15 amp, and one thing I had running off of it is the wideband, and the wideband don't pull that much. The fuse on the radio is a 15 amp, and it should be more than enough we need to do. We're not running the radio anyway, so might as well use it. Got 2 wires here, 3 wires here. I really want to get a yellow wire, but I was out right or out yellow, so I didn't really want to go around and try and find some yellow wire. So using 2 reds and a black, I marked my 2 reds here. One's a switch, the other one's hot at all times, and black obviously is ground. So you'll need 3 of those wires to plug into your switch. You can see you got your red positive, black ground, and yellow for your switch. So we're going to wire that in. This will have to be right next to the Pi, because your communication wires here will need to be plugged into the Pi. So this has to be right next to it. We'll probably like zip tie it in, or we'll figure it out once we get to that spot. But we're getting closer. I know you can go out and get any type of keyboard, but this is the keyboard I got. It's a little big keyboard, Logitech. Got it at Walmart for 20 bucks. USB. It's got the little mouse pad on it and the keys. I think it'd be easier than the one you can get for it. Looks like a little game console. I think this is actually be better. Be easier to type on and all. And we'll also be plugging a GPS into the Pi. It's a USB based GPS. I'm not sure how it's going to work. There's mixed reviews saying you're going to need an external antenna on it. and whatnot. So I mean, we won't know until we get in the car and see how it acts. We will need to get into, you know, out in the open so we can calibrate it and all. Alright, so working on the regulator here. I've already got it torn down. Got the old regulator out. Just got 4 screws and it comes out. And here's the old one. I've already taken this little white thing off. I've never messed with an alternator or torn one apart before, so learned a little tip from Doug. Push these, I guess, points in, I guess you want to call them. Stick a wire in, and once you get into place, bolt it down, take the wire out. But this is a new regulator, 2-wire. Now we're ready to drop it in the car. Put back on the alternator. Put the 2 bolts in. Be careful not to torque these down too much, as there's not really a whole lot to tighten down there. So, well, ready to put this in and tighten it down and put the alternator back in place. Kind of have to pause on the dash. The switch I got is supposed to work with the ignition on and off. It's supposed to help safely boot it down. Switch is bad. I went through a couple forums and it's a pretty common issue with these switches. I just stay away from them. I'm just gonna go. I just already ordered a new kind of like a little converter here to 12 volt down to 5 volt, 3 amp out. I'm just gonna run it that way and hope for the best. Hopefully I don't destroy a SD card. I may go ahead and buy another one and flash it, make a copy of what I have now. And once we get the tunes, everything lit up on the Pi, go ahead and set up like a cloud service on it. Like when I sit in the garage, I have it on my home Wi-Fi. I can have everything just sync up to the cloud, so won't really lose anything if something ever happens to the SD card. But yeah, like I said, that's pause. I'll hopefully get the new converter thing tomorrow. We'll get the alternator knocked out. At least we'll have that done. And last bit is just getting this rest of this put together, and hopefully we'll take it for a test drive. Alright, so I got everything back together. As you can see, there's only 2 wires come off the regulator. Got the red wire here, goes on the back positive post. It goes to the battery for charging, and your white wire here that just clips into place here. And that's it. Got the old wiring just kind of tucked away for right now. Won't be using that anymore unless I plan on sticking the stock cluster back in, and we have to put the old regulator back on. Now we're just waiting for the part. We get this new switch in. Probably go online tonight. I need to pick up a oil pressure gauge, and I have a fuel gauge, but I don't think it will work with my sending unit in the tank. It's a Cobra style sending unit. I believe it's got a different ohm rating on it, so may have to look it up, see if I need to get a new gauge or got a new converter here. It's a 12 volt, converts down to 5, 3 amp out. Got it wired up. Do some electrical tape on, just clean it up a little bit. But I'm just gonna have this just tucked back behind here, like so. And got the wire here, plugs right into the Pi. This is a micro SD. Sorry, this is a micro USB. I could not find a USB-C, but luckily the Pi came with the adapter we can plug into it, and it'll plug in just fine. I already tested this out, works just fine. The only downfall is once we turn the power off to the car, automatically just shuts the Pi down. It's not really the correct way of doing it. You could run into some SD card issues, like you can corrupt it and all. So hopefully we don't run into that issue. There's a few guys I've talked to about this problem. The switches are just crap. You can see I got it down on the floorboard. Yeah, it'll come, the Pi will turn on, it'll stay on, it'll boot up, it'll stay on for about 30 seconds and just shut off. I thought maybe I wasn't getting enough juice to it. So I tried troubleshooting it, plugged my phone into it, tried some other USB devices. There's some other USB devices to it, and there's both ports were absolutely dead. So got one of these. We're gonna run this in it. Now the next issue is the GPS I got for it. The GPS I got for it doesn't work. It's kind of really the wrong configuration I got it for. I should have done a little more reading on it, but I have a new GPS coming, and I know it works for it. But I ran a wire here. It's gonna go up underneath the dash. It's gonna plug into it right here. It's a USB based GPS device. I want to get to put it up here where it has a good view of the sky, so we don't have any issues of reading. But other than that, I'm ready to throw this Pi into the car and get it configured to the micro squirt. Got my wire here already. Just need to plug it in and get going from there. Another thing, also put 2 new gauges in. Well, 1 new gauge. Put an oil pressure gauge in. I already had a fuel gauge, so I put that in. I don't think it. I put some gas in the car and it still reads on the E, so I'm thinking this may be the wrong gauge for the sending unit. I have a Cobra style sending unit in the tank, and I believe it has a different ohm rating down from the stock Foxes, SN95s. So I've been doing a ton of reading, but everything's showing, I think 15 ohms empty, 168, 170 ohms full. That's what this sensor is, or this gauge will read. But it's got 6-7 gallons of fuel in it, and it still reads E. So I'm gonna do a little more research on that, see to make sure this is the right fuel gauge. If not, we need to swap it out with a different one. And I got my switch here. You can see my little light. This is for the meth. Turn it on and off, and a little light here to tell me there's something wrong with it or not. So got the dash steer. Gonna pop it in place, and we'll get Tuner Studio configured, and so hopefully everything works from there. Hey, what's up guys? Alright, so this has been like a 2-week project or so now. Not exactly sure where I left off in the video, but anyways, the Pi is in, fully running. Works pretty damn good. Last night I installed TeamViewer on it. Gonna need to do some tweaks on that. I noticed that boots up, that application launches with boot, so it's kind of slowing it down just a little bit. Probably what I do is I go in and disable it so it's not part of the boot sequence. Help speed its boot up, make it quick as possible. Now just get everything put back together. Got the trim, everything put back on. See, it barely goes over to the bezel of the screen here, so it's cut very minimum of the screen. That's why I was trying to get the Pi as high up as possible. It's literally, it's touching the top of this. So that's all done. Just pretty much put everything back together. I kind of just take my time with it, and do some cleaning here and there. Some of the interior pieces put back together. Need to find me some screws. So many screws ain't working anymore. So I got this wire here, plugs right into the micro. Instead of having a sensor back behind here, because I want the GPS sensor put up here in the dash, so we don't have any issues with finding satellites and all. So I got that. Need to get that situated. Probably something I'll do last. Found a GPS that works, and it's worked in here in the garage. Surprisingly, I was able to lock on. They'll work on the update on it. It seems kind of slow. We'll go into settings on here, and so we can tweak it up some. And I think I might mention about my fuel gauge. Fuel gauge ain't working. Because the sending unit is a different ohms. That's why it's not reading correctly. I got about 6-7 gallons of fuel in it, and it still reads on empty. Oil pressure gauge works great. And hopefully we can be done with this. We'll be done with it for a while. Need to get some new tires. That'll probably be the next thing to get. And finish up the back part here, just to clean it up here. Alright, so I'm gonna give you a little run here. Put the keys in ignition. There we go. Get the camera over here as you can see. Power it on. Got a little bit of glare there. Yeah, it used to boot a little bit quicker. I think a lot has to do when I installed TeamViewer. It kind of slowed down a little bit. The mile per hour is not correct because the GPS is not plugged in. Haven't really messed with much settings yet. Only thing I've really done is the tack wise. I set it down to 7,000 RPMs. I have it set up. It should flash get right to the rail line. It gives you a set RPM you can set it at. I put it at 6,400. It should flash at me to shift. I haven't really done anything different with the sensors here or the readouts. Got my coolant, AFRs, air temp, duty cycle. Hard to see. TPS sensor, pulse width, spark, and map. And it's hard to see down here on the bottom. You got a little more readouts. It does cover just a little bit. And right here, here's your GPS. It lights up actually when it's logged onto satellites. So some of y'all ask, does the turn signal and the headlights still work? Well, fixing to show you. Still work. And turn on the headlights. Yep. So everything still works just like normal. One thing you won't see is the indicators for the tail light or for the turn signals on either side, but you can still hear the little relay clicking. I don't know, you may not hear it in the car when the engine's running at all, but yeah, everything still works. So hopefully you enjoy this video, guys. I know some of y'all probably think it's probably too techy. You like the old analog gauges and all. I'm more of a tech guy, so I like something like this digital. It's pretty cool. Connects right to the micro squirt USB, no Bluetooth, and there's no lag or anything with it. And so far it's worked great. Haven't driven it yet. Hopefully that will be soon. Just waiting for the weather to cool down a little bit and try it out. But guys, I'm gonna wrap up this video here. It's over 30 minutes long, and you have any feedback, leave a comment down below. Be sure to like and subscribe. Till next time, guys, I'll see y'all later.